Hey, everybody, welcome to the Get It Done podcast. I'm your host, Jimi Ryan, and today is a special day. When we started the show, not even 6 months ago, our goal is to connect with people and provide inspiration, value, and hope through real stories. Today's guest is a true American success, an innovator, an actor, a musician, author, and just all-around great guy. The value he gives impacts the lives of thousands across the world. I'm honored today to sit down with Barry Habib. Barry, welcome to the Get It Done podcast.
Jimmy, I'm honored to be with you, my friend.
Matt, honor's all mine. Thanks for being with us. So I want to jump right into it. You're very active in the creative field, doing acting, writing, even investing in producing shows such as Rock of Ages. Can you tell us about how your relationship with art and your creative side, how it influences your business side?
So I always enjoyed music, like many of us do. I love music. I love all kinds of music, and considering I'm not a young teenager, but I really like contemporary music and music that's endured as well. So when I do my daily updates for MBS Highway, we tie in a song. So we play about 25 seconds of a song that ties into the theme. So that's kind of fun too. But I actually did some singing when I was younger, so music was always a part of my life. I still sing in a band, which is a lot of fun. Although, unfortunately, with COVID, that's kind of dramatically changed things. But we were doing some pretty regular gigs, and when I had the chance to get involved with Rock of Ages, it like most things, when I wrote a book about opportunities and money in the streets, what we tried to do was network with people. And as it turned out, when I was on CNBC, some folks, I guess they either liked either the look or the way I spoke, and they asked me if I wanted to be in a movie. And I was like, heck yeah, sure, hey, I'll be like an ex-super. Well, they wanted to put me in this crazy costume, which they did. I was Colonel Kaboom with this white beard and pastel color costume. That was my first acting experience, but I networked with that. And wound up being in 9 different movies with pretty nice roles. Actually made the trailer in a movie called Barry Monday. And the guy who wrote it and I became friendly. And we were looking at something called the dailies, so he's just looking at my scenes that I had. And listen, I was still relatively new at it, so the coaching, right? We always want to learn and get better. And I kind of hit it off, and he said, "Hey, Barry, take a look at this." And it was the script for Rock of Ages. And read it, fell in love with it, fell in love with the music, and was the lead producer of that. Took it off Broadway first, and good thing I really wasn't experienced, Jimmy. Good thing I didn't know how tough it is to succeed at that. And it became a big hit off Broadway. It was only the second show in the history of off Broadway to get a movie deal. And then I said, okay, listen, we're outgrowing this. Should we go on Broadway? I'm like, yeah. Again, good thing I was inexperienced and not very smart when it comes to that, because most people lose all their money. It's very, very hard. But I did it with my heart, and it became the 27th longest running show in Broadway history. Heck, we're closed now because of all of Broadway's closed, but it ran all over the world. So music near and dear to me, but it's also about people. It's about networking. It's about seeing opportunities and then believing in them, which really applies to anything you do and anywhere. It's not just music. It's not just the arts. It's not just, and there's something with entertainment, I think, and musical stuff, Jimmy, that's important. I've always said this. I've sang in different bands or kind of jammed with different bands. And there's something I always said is that musicians are a little easier to get along with just in general. I think because they know that in life, we all can have different roles and we can all be harmonic together. Just because we're different and we're doing different things doesn't mean we have to be at odds. We can definitely do this and make it beautiful by understanding what different individual strengths are and what they do well, how that could blend with us, how we can combine with other people and make more than 1 + 1 = 2, use the talents, the best of what we each can bring, and doing something really special.
Yeah, I think that the sense of that a musician has is the sense of like, how am I being perceived? What's my experience? I think just transcends to really all your businesses. And just I've read your book, and it says in there that you've actually that they wouldn't allow drinks, for instance, in there. Talk about that a little bit, about just what you noticed with that and the opportunity, to make it right.
Jimmy, we all have opportunities to remove points of friction. And a lot of times we see it, we think about it, but then we talk ourselves out of it. You know, you have a good idea, and then, no, it's what somebody else should have thought about. Well, guess what? Somebody else probably didn't think about it. So when I created a company called Mortgage Market Guide, what I noticed was people in the mortgage industry would suffer from the fact that interest rates would change and they would surprise them. So why is there a mechanism that could help them? And brought that to the market and became an extremely successful business that I built and sold. And then when I had Rock of Ages and I was the lead producer and running that show, I would watch people come into the theater and they would, it's in Manhattan. Sometimes you would come in a little late. You want to get an adult beverage. There's a long line. They're not cheap. By the time you get it, show's ready to start. You don't want to miss the show. What do? You either chug your drink or get rid of your drink. I'd watch these people nicely dressed. Was great. It's like, why do we have to make people do that? Why can't we just allow them to drink the drinks in their seats? And remember, I was a newcomer, right? So I was looking at fresh eyes. Theater owner says, Barry, can't do that. We've never done that before. Well, that's not a good answer for me. So what we worked on, and what I worked on, is eventually became the first show in the history of Broadway to allow drinking in the seats. And now they all do it. And then as an entrepreneur, I also opened a medical imaging business. And my experience with medical imaging is, and I hope nobody ever feels badly where they have to go for a scan or anything like that. But if you've had that experience, you know that the technician doing it, they know what's going on. They can't tell you. You have to wait for your physician. Many of us don't have our physician's cell phone number, so we might have to wait 3 or 4 days, and the anxiety gets to us. I was like, why do we have to do that? Let's put a radiologist right on site, so by the time somebody gets dressed, if it's good news, yay. If it's not the greatest news, they have a plan. They don't have the anxiety. They know what next steps are, and that's all people want. So regardless of what you do, look for points of friction, try to remove those points of friction, and then see it through. By the way, don't just willy-nilly it. Have respect for the fact that others are trying. You have to research it, you have to understand it, you have to learn it, you have to think it through, but then follow up on those ideas and make them come to life.
Yeah, you have to put in the work, is what we like to say. To shift gears a little bit, tell us about your morning routine. What are your first few hours look like, step by step?
Well, if I'm in New Jersey, where I spend about 40% of my time, my first steps are feeding my 4 animals and taking care of them and giving them a little love, because they're all crazy in the morning. So I've got 2 dogs and 2 cats, and 2 cats are rescues. So yeah, I'm a big animal lover. Now, when I'm here in Florida, it's a little easier because I don't have the animals to take care of. My kids are a little older; they take care of them there. But I like to start off early, and I like to start off, with a little cup of coffee. I start every day with gratitude, because we're really, really lucky, and I think it just sets your mindset in the right place. If we start off our day, I have a little coffee first, kind of gets my brain going, and then I really start off by saying out loud all the things that I'm so blessed and fortunate and grateful for. And then listen, I'm a really spiritual person, so I believe in prayer. It just works for me. I believe in it. I do pray for people that, I pray for good things. I pray for people. I pray for good things to happen to them and for myself, and to be able to help others and do good. So that's how I start off every day. And then it's a lot of reading. It's a lot of understanding what the markets are doing, because it's really my responsibility and my job to kind of try and break that down concisely for our subscribers. I take that very seriously. I put a few hours every morning into that, so that I'm well equipped to do that video to try and give the best I can give to others.
As a subscriber myself, I appreciate all that work that you put in, because it's always just great advice that you're giving people. Let's fast forward 10 years. It's the year 2031. You're 71 years old.
Thanks.
What does the world look like?
The thing that we have to remember is that Moore's law says that technology doubles pretty much every 3 years, right? So you look back, I think, as a point of reference to 10 years ago. If somebody would have said we would go through this with the pandemics and doing Zoom calls and the technology that's here, it would have just boggled the mind to think about how quickly things have evolved. You go back 20 or 25 years, that wasn't even the internet. So what does the next 10 or 15 years hold in store for us? I think that we are in an age that change is occurring much more rapidly than it has in the past. The acceleration will continue. So you have to keep your skills sharp. The investment that needs to be made for the next 10 years has to be in the most important asset you have, and that's your mind. That's got to be where your investment is. If you want to be participating in the future actively and successfully, you have to invest in your mind every single day. There's no relaxing, unfortunately. Sorry to say. You have to stay at it every single day and keep up and stay sharp. When I opened up a mortgage company in my late 20s, this was before the internet, but network computers were coming out within an office. And I look at these 21-year-old kids coming in. I was just a kid too. I was in my late 20s, but they knew more than me. So the deal I made was, okay, listen, I will hire you to do the job under one condition. I personally need to build all the computers and run the network wires and stuff like that. So I got my hands dirty with the purpose of really learning and understanding. And I think that to every one of us, it is critical that things are moving so quickly that we need to make it a point to keep up with it, to continue to learn, and to invest whatever time it takes to invest and grow our brain so that 10 years doesn't come up on us and we say, wow, we're so far behind. We need to be on the cutting edge almost always.
How about for you personally? What's your personal life look like 10 years from now? Are you strike me as the type of guy who's never going to retire?
Jimmy, I don't want to retire, but I don't think that I really work right now too, because what I do is I try and help others. And I think that's how we get fulfillment in life. There's a lot of people that hit financial goals, and it's important. You need financial goals because take it from somebody like me who grew up extraordinarily poor, that having a little bit of financial resources makes your life a lot better, certainly. But what it really does is it allows you to do good for other people. And I've noticed so many people that have success goals, that's great. Have financial goals, that's great. And they're different, and you need them both. But they're not happy. And when you look at it, it's because they're lacking fulfillment. And fulfillment, at least for me, and I think for most of us, it comes from helping others. So while you reach with one hand forward, you should always have a hand back to do good and help other people along, because by doing that, it's almost selfish because you gain fulfillment that makes you happy. So yeah, I'm helping others, but I think the biggest beneficiary by me doing good for others is me, because that makes me happy and it makes me feel good. So that's, I think, a really important thing. So personal goals for me is when you're doing something that you love, you're really not working. So if you're not working, there's nothing to retire from. I just want to keep doing more of the things that I'm doing, and enjoying it.
I love that. That's such a fire answer. Shifting gears, what's one hard skill and one soft skill that you believe is going to be in demand in the next 5 years?
Well, clearly, personal skills are the most important ones. How do you react with people? Have you educated yourself on human dynamics? There's some really good books out there on negotiation, and negotiation people think is tactical. It's not. It's just understanding human response. Chris Voss's Don't Never Split the Difference and Jim Kemp's Start with No are really good ways that can obviously help you in business, but it would help you not to take advantage of people, to get along with people, because understanding what they're about. Now, I've done a lot of research. I've done a lot of study on things with the mind and different personality types. And it fascinates me because I interact with people so much. And what I really want to be able to do is communicate with them. So many of the world's problems would go away if we could just communicate better. How much of this is just lack of communication, lack of understanding, just making judgments before really understanding why that person has arrived at that place. And, communication is taking an idea that's in your mind and putting it into somebody else's mind. But it took time, it took a formulation. If we want to just take that idea and we arrived at the destination and try and force it on somebody else, it's hard. You have to metaphorically hold their hand and in a concise way, take them along the path of why you've gotten there. I think that this is the most important thing to work on. This is the most important skill, is communication, getting along with others, articulating your points of view. And the other one is educating yourself. We talked about this, just investing in yourself. So it really is introspective in education and understanding, and it's outwardly reaching others by being able to communicate and understand them better. So that's what's going to be most important, because guess what? Even though we're apart, and God willing, we'll be able to get back to what seems more normal as far as socially getting together with people. We are in a position where we can reach and touch and have access to more people than ever. And that's not going to slow down. It's going to accelerate.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. That's awesome. So moving on to mortgage. You've started several businesses in the mortgage space. What has been your favorite and what has been your biggest challenge?
So listen, starting businesses are all challenging. They're all tough. Nothing's easy. Okay. But it's understanding and accepting that and taking that on. That's what separates everybody. What separates us is saying you're going to do something, and then it's really seeing it through and doing it. So my favorite's MBS Highway because we get to touch so many people. CMA, Certified Mortgage Advisor, is the other one that's out there now. I get so much joy in that because I could see the difference that it's making in people. And listen, even selfishly for me, it's kind of a legacy thing for me. I'd like to leave a positive influence on this industry. And when I was one of the founders of Social Survey, to see the good that company's doing, and Mortgage Market Guide, when I founded and created that was very innovative and helped so many people. And having a mortgage company, CMA, Certified Mortgage Associates, was the mortgage company that I founded. We did a lot of good in helping a lot of families. So these different parts of the mortgage industry that I've been blessed and lucky enough to have a hand in and found these companies or be part of founding, in the case of Social Survey, it's something that every one of them has had so much challenge, but the rewards are it's beyond expression.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of people talk about CMA, for instance, that have gone through the class, that have been doing this for 10 years and came out of it like, oh my God, I never knew any of this stuff. Can't believe I didn't, provide this value to people. I see what you mean with, providing that value and the legacy. It really is. It's a ripple effect because they can give that to all their clients and actually provide real value.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that makes me happy.
For sure. So I want to be super respectful of your time. And there's a few questions, Barry, that we ask everybody. And the first one is, do you feel like you ever had a big break?
A big what?
A big break.
A positive break?
Just a big break. Like, hey, man, I got this big break. This was it.
All the time. Yeah, every day you get breaks. Yeah, there's been so many of just being in the right place at the right time. In the book, I talk about the story of how I started Mortgage Market Guide. I was doing somebody a favor to go to Santa Fe, New Mexico, which was a pain in the ass to get to, right, from New Jersey. And the truth of it is I wasn't feeling well. I didn't realize it, but I had diverticulitis. So I was feeling off. I made this commitment. They were counting on me. So I dragged myself all the way there. And the crowd was a little bit less than what I thought. But, I said, look, I'm here for the person that got up or traveled early that morning to come hear me. And I'm going to show up for them. And I'm going to respect that. And I just kind of sucked it up and gave my performance. And then afterwards, I met three really important people in my life. Cindy Ertman, who's a doll, who's been a dear friend of mine. And I'm proud to say that I kind of got her started as a speaker and a coach. So that's been a meaningful friendship. But then Kurt Warner was the guy that worked for Arch Telecom, and he became a minority partner in Mortgage Market Guide. And then Jack Long, who was running MGIC at the time. And Jack was like, Barry, everybody talks badly about MI. You showed how you can use MI as a good tool. You're the only one that's ever said that. I want to sponsor you on a national tour. And that lasted for 5 years. That helped me promote Mortgage Market Guide. So, you never know where these breaks are going to come from. And this is just one that I put in the book. It happens every day. How lucky are we? That's why I start every day with gratitude, because we are so grateful and so thankful for people, for events, for things that happen to us. It's important to appreciate these things, because otherwise, when we appreciate it, when it's taken away, that happens, right? And then you long for it. So appreciate it while you have it. So yes, I've had a lot of breaks that have worked for me. Had a lot of breaks that worked against me.
I'm really glad. Well, yeah, and I'm really glad that you mentioned that you didn't want to go. And I think in your book, I remember there's 12 people there or something like that, and it was
more than that, but it was a light crowd.
But I was just like, oh my, it's so crazy because it on the face of it, in every single way, this was a terrible opportunity, but you committed to your word and you did it and ended up making a big break out of it. That's just great.
I mean, we all have these situations. There are times when we can invariably, we're going to get disappointed. We can take that disappointment and let it hurt us, let it ruin our energy. And then that ripple effect comes out too. Or we can do what is the 90-second rule. And a dear friend of mine is Tony Robbins. Tony was really good at this, and he taught me this. And you're going to get pissed at something. Somebody's going to cut you off on the road. You're not going to get a disposition on something that you were hoping for. You're going to get whatever it is. You get a lousy waitress or waiter. And what happens is that you can either let that negativity fester, or you could say, okay, I'm human. I'm going to get pissed for a short period of time, but then I'm going to stop it. Tony says 90 seconds. It might take me 5 minutes, but he's better than I am. But I try and stop it quickly, and then just stop it.
Yeah.
Just different state of mind, different set of, okay, that's what it is. We're going to deal with that, and we're going to make it good, because I'm not going to let that steal my joy, because I only have one life. I only have X amount of time. It is finite. And I'm not going to allow a negative period of time fester and steal the good stuff. So I'm going to change my mindset. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to look at the opportunity and the positivity. And guess what else I'm going to be able to do? I'm not going to let it steal the joy I could bring to other people, because your attitude and your internal feelings will rub off on others. And there is a real ripple effect. If you bring joy to others, if you do, I mean, that's the secret of being magnetic. Another thing I talk about in the book. It's easy. Everybody you come into contact with, make them feel smarter, make them feel better. You can make people feel better. Make them feel smarter, you have to do some work, because you can't give what you don't have. So you have to put the work in yourself and have something to offer others. So this is the secret of being magnetic, and everybody will naturally be drawn to you. Who doesn't want to be with someone that will make them feel better and that they can learn from? Pretty simple.
Absolutely. And it's a great lead up to my next question. Was there ever a time, Barry, you thought about giving up?
We all have those times when, I mean, listen, confidence is fleeting as heck, man. You question yourself all the time. You could have, listen, just recently, Jimmy, I looked at it. I had made 80 perfect calls on the market consecutively. I mean, 80 perfect calls. Okay? But I had made the wrong call. This just happened a week ago. I was 2 days early. I'm making a call on the market. And while everybody's pretty much was locked in and in a good position, there was a small portion of people that probably got exposed. And I was responsible for giving them the wrong advice. Yeah, I owned up to it. First thing I said is, I apologize. I know I got it wrong. But it bothers you. It's not as easy to shrug off, because our confidence is delicate. If we want to have humility, if we want to be sensitive, which we do, if we want to be narcissistic, if we want to be empathetic, these things impact you. They affect you. It hurts me to know that I did something that could adversely affect somebody else. So it definitely hurts your confidence, and then you got to kind of look back and say, so if your systems work, if you were in the same position, you make the same call. I looked at if a basketball team were 80-1, 80 wins and 1 loss, you wouldn't change the head coach, but you always want to try and get better. So you take that as a lesson, and you continue to try and learn and improve.
That's really great. If you were to do it all over again, Barry, what would you change?
Well, I don't know if I had the energy to do it. I think there were so many mistakes that I made, Timmy. I try and improve upon those. I would try to improve. I think that I was probably insecure. We're all insecure to some extent, but I think I was insecure as I was a little younger. I started off as a speaker and wanted to show that I was as good, or it's good to be competitive, don't get me wrong, but you can be secure in your position without having to kind of either be a little bit I don't know, where I would make it known what I was doing. It's like
hard or closed off.
Yeah, I think that what I've learned is that it's important to it's important to really try and understand and get along with others, even if they rub you the wrong way initially. Give them a little grace, You don't have to be their best friend, but you don't have to butt heads either. You can respect their opinion and you could just, accept it, and learning from others. You want to take a page out of everybody's book and learn from it and approach people. And I think having that humility allows you to learn from others too, because people have a lot to offer. And if you think that you know a lot, and that others can't help you, then you're going to stay in that box. If you realize that maybe you do know some good things that you can share, but you can always get better and learn, then you can be more welcoming to others and wind up benefiting from that too. So these are lessons that you listen. There's no playbook on this when you're born. It's not like you program it. We go through life and we make these mistakes. And I think the key is that you want to learn from your mistakes. And if I had it to do over again, I would try and learn from my mistakes earlier.
That's great. And I love your first answer. Just like, hey, I wouldn't have done it again. Actually, it's funny. Steve Jacobs answered it this similar way. Like, if I had to do it again, I wouldn't. But I love that. That's just great. So, final question is, Barry, there is a young Barry out there, and maybe, they're, struggled, a childhood with, not a lot of money. Maybe they're, 26 years old, had twins. Maybe they're starting a mortgage company. Maybe they're growing a team. What advice would you give to someone looking to get it done?
Jimmy, if they're watching this, then they already have a lot of the things, because if listening to good people like you and they're making the commitment and the time to invest in their mind and to grow and to learn, then they're really on the right track. I think that really important characteristics that we have to understand is empathy and kindness are something that will really help them. Loyalty is something that a young person will wind up benefiting from in the long run. Being loyal and being a loyal friend has come back so many times. And if you're a young person and you're listening to this, one of the most important things you are going to do is build relationships and seek out mentors. And believe me, that's critical. But please remember that the best relationships are initiated and built not by asking, but by offering, by giving, by researching. So don't ask, offer. How can you be of help? How can you be a friend? How can you be of service? And then be loyal. Loyalty is so critical, and that will help those relationships endure into the future. And then, the great thing about it is when you have those loyal friendships and relationships, when you're in need, you don't even have to ask, because people will be running to you to help you. And I think
so real. So real and so rare also. It's a small percentage of people that actually are. It's great advice. All right, we want to thank Barry for joining us today. And if you've listened up to this part, I'm sure you've taken a ton of value. We want to thank Barry for his time. If anybody wanted to reach out to Barry, Barry, how would you want people to reach out and connect?
I'm on social media everywhere, so it's easy. And my email is barry@barryhabib.com. It's easy. And listen, I hope that, like you did, Jimmy, I hope that take a look at the book. The book, it hit #1 on Amazon's bestseller list, which I was very blessed by. Thanks, Jimmy. And it really is a book that will help you find opportunities, and I think it will also help you get through the tough times that we all get through. But really, what's good about the book too is it'll help you maximize when you have that tailwind, when you have the wind at your back, when you have things going your way. That's when it's really important to maximize that. The book will help you do that too.
That's awesome. Well, we want to thank you again, and we want to thank everybody for listening today. And if you found some value with the show and you want to support us, hey, tell a friend, write us a 5-star review. Any honest review would be great. Hit that subscribe button. All those things help us get to more people. Once again, I'm Jimi Ryan. This has been the Get It Done podcast. Thanks so much for listening.